Good evening and welcome to 365 days of amazing stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are today, 139, and I'm continuing stories from 1001 Arabian Nights. The story that Scheherazade was telling was The Man and the Two Black Dogs. As you might remember, that man was at the fountain and the two dogs were his brothers. And his two brothers, before they were dogs, well, the three of them had gone off on an adventure trying to sell goods in a foreign land. And they'd done quite well. And the middle brother, who was so generous and sharing everything that he had made, all the money he had made with his brothers, he ended up marrying a woman who had come to him on the seashore. And his brothers became jealous on their voyage home. And they threw the two of them into the ocean. They had gone down when they were sleeping. They had grabbed them and thrown them overboard. Now, it turns out that this merchant's wife was a fairy. And so she transported the two of them to an island. And when dawn came, they began talking. Well, she confessed that she was a fairy and that she had seen him on the seashore and had taken quite a fancy to him and had wanted to see, well, how wonderful a person he was, how good-natured he actually was. And she had been delighted at how beautiful a person he was. Now, I will tell you that over the course of their travels together on the ocean, the merchant found that she exceeded all his expectations of, well, what a wife would be. He had grown more and more fond of her as the days had passed. Well, she was quite upset, as you might imagine, with his two brothers. And she told him that she was going to kill them, punish them by killing them. And the merchant pleaded for their lives and to not be so angry and to at least let them live. And so she agreed to that. Well, that very day, as they were sitting there on that island, she transported the two of them back to the roof of his house. And there, she left him. He went down into the house. He unburied the 3,000 sequins that he had, hidden. And he opened his doors and he reopened his shop that very day. And the merchants who had stayed and been in business during the time that he was gone came back and just happily greeted him and wanted to hear about his successful journey. Well, it wasn't long. In fact, it was later that afternoon that two black dogs showed up on his doorstep. And with them came his wife, the fairy. And she turned to him and said, "Your brothers will be in this state for the next 10 years. And she told him where he would be able to find her after those 10 years was up, because she didn't want to have anything to do with the two of them. "Well," said the merchant, "those 10 years are almost up, and I am walking now on my way to find my wife." He turned to the genie and he said, "Is not that a wonderful tale? Is not that just the most amazing tale you have ever heard?" And the genie smiled and he said, "Indeed, that is a beautiful tale," he said. "And for it, I will give you a third of this merchant's life." Now, remember, there was a third man there at the fountain. And he did the same thing that the other two men had done. He pleaded with the genie, briefly, that he should tell his story, and that if it was more marvelous than the other two and any other story that the genie had ever heard, that he would give the merchant his entire freedom. That man told his story as well, and though it was an amazingly good story, I don't really know what it was. Now, Scheherazade, she told the story, of course, to the Sultan, and from there she said to the Sultan after she had finished the story, and I will tell you that the genie, after he had given the merchant his entire freedom, he went on his way. But he did praise those three men for having been interested in saving the merchant's life, because he said, if you three had not come to his side, he would not be alive right now. And I will tell you that there at the fountain, there was some celebrating that went on before the four of them went on their separate ways. Now, Scheherazade, she turned to her husband, the Sultan, and she said, though these tales were amazing, they are nothing in comparison to the tale of the fisherman. And when the Sultan heard this, a smile sprang across his face. And he said, I can't wait to hear it. Of course, Nurazada was there as well for the telling of the fisherman, which I will tell you on Sunday. Okay. Hope you enjoyed it and have a good rest of your day or evening, whatever it may be.